And welcome in to Release the Healing Within with Dr. Stan Schulte of Schulte Chiropractic Wellness Center. So glad to have you in today as we're going to continue our conversation about cancer. We talked a lot about the cancer last week, and we want to give that opportunity to 5 people again to call the office and set up an appointment with Dr. Stan Schulte at Schulte Chiropractic Wellness Center, 402-420-0024. That is the number to call if you are someone who is being diagnosed with cancer. Maybe a family member has been diagnosed with cancer. Radiation and chemo can be very, very scary concepts to wrap your mind around, especially when you think about what happens to people that go through those kind of treatments. There are other options out there, and why not explore those options? Learn more about how your body works. Learn more about what cancer is and how your body can fight it off. And you should, if you didn't get a chance to listen to last week's show, we recommend going to the website, kfor1240.com, download the podcast of the show, and then also with this program, we'll have it up after the program is over. But Dr. Stan, we appreciate you coming in. We talked a lot about cancer last week and kind of gave people an understanding of what cancer is, what a cancer cell is versus a healthy cell, right, how both operate. You gave a great analogy last week about how the body responds in different situations, and we use the fright or the fight or flight mode, where the elevated heartbeats, increased breathing, bring in oxygen, and the body does that for a purpose. The body knows what it's doing.
Exactly.
And you gave a great analogy before we went on the air to kind of explain a little bit more, and it was really great, and I wanted you to share that with the audience just to kind of give people another understanding.
Yeah. So like you had mentioned, for those who didn't listen last week or didn't get a chance to yet, we talked about symptoms being your body responding at the right way at the right time. It's just responding appropriately to the environment that you're in. And there's another analogy with a plant. And I talked last week too about cancer is not the problem. Cancer is a symptom, and it's a symptom of a sick body. And it's tough for some people to gain that understanding when we're looking at a human, but when we look at plants, it's a lot easier to see that. And so here's the analogy is, let's say we have a plant sitting in the room, and we all see that there are brown leaves on that plant, and it's dying. What is the first thing that we do?
Oh, it needs water.
Yep. What else might it need?
Maybe sunlight.
Yep. So water, sunlight. We talked about that last episode as well, is that the reason your body is sick is either it's toxic or deficient. And when we look at a plant, it's very easy to say, what is that plant missing, or what is required of that plant that it's not getting, and what is toxic for that plant. So the first thing that we do with a plant is we ask ourselves, what is that plant missing, or what is it toxic with? So it's very simple, like you just said. Maybe it's missing sunlight. That's required for it to be healthy. Yep. Maybe it's missing water. So we water the plant. And when we're looking at that, would we ever say that, wow, those brown leaves, that's what caused the plant to be sick, and all we need to do is cut off those brown leaves and that'll make it healthy? We would never, ever take that approach. It's finding out what is required of that. So then why is it with human beings, or with cancer in particular, why are we saying, let's use all these other treatments that are not really bringing health back to that cell? We're just trying to take care of that symptom. We're trying to cut out that cancer. We're trying to radiate it and burn it. Yes, that can take the cancer away for the time being, but why do you think that so many of us who have had cancer then have that cancer come back? The truth is, it doesn't come back. It actually never left the body. The body had been sick the entire time. We just cut off one of those brown leaves, and it looks better. And the tests show that it's quote unquote better, but unless we change our lifestyle, and unless we get that body back to health, we're never going to get our bodies back to the health that we deserve. And that's why we're seeing so many people suffer and die early. And it doesn't really have to happen.
Well, and the sad thing is the current medical model, like we were talking about, is usually radiation, chemotherapy, something to burn that cancer out. But we see it with people, and I saw it with my uncle, who I lost over a decade ago to cancer, is how that even weakens the body even more, because the radiation is not going to be specific. It's not going to attack one specific area or one specific cell. It's going to go after everything.
Yep. And the goal with that, and again, it can save lives in certain situations. It's so important for people to do their own research on that, or take the information that we're giving you today and do something with that as well. But you talked about chemo and radiation. Look at the 5 treatments for cancer today: chemo, radiation, surgery, drugs, or transplantation. The plant analogy that we just talked about is, if in order to bring that plant back to health, we have to give it what's required of that. So the question is, when we're looking at cancer and these treatments, was cancer ever caused by a lack of any of these?
No.
It wasn't. And what we need to start doing is give the body what it needs. And there was a really interesting research study that was done years back. They took, before I get into this, I guess I should say, revisit again what causes cancer, what is required of a healthy cell. A healthy cell needs oxygen, it needs no sugar, it needs to be in an alkaline environment, and it needs proper nerve supply. One of those key things, it needs oxygen to survive. They took a normal cell, they took away the oxygen, and it became a cancer cell. They then took that cancer cell, put the oxygen back in the cell, and it became a healthy cell.
So it reversed.
It reversed. And again, your body is always striving to be healthy. We just have to find what is it missing or what is it toxic with, and change that environment that we're in that caused that symptom, the cancer, to occur. It's amazing stuff. And cancer, it's important to understand this too, that cancer is multifactorial, meaning there are multiple things that cause the cancer. So just in saying that, I'm not saying get oxygen to your cell and you're going to reverse your own cancer.
Right.
But I'm saying that is a critical component that is almost an issue every single time in a cancer patient. Same with the sugar, and we'll get into that a little bit here. But we want to kind of gain an understanding of that. And when we're talking about the approaches to cancer, you have the 5 main treatments in mainstream medicine, and you have the alternative approach. And the main thing is to gain an understanding in your own mind of, can you heal cancer? Can your body heal cancer? And there's an amazing quote. This one I always go back to. It's one of my favorite ones out there. Is Henry Ford said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." And I'll say that one more time. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that's the same thing with our health. If you think you can reverse cancer, then you have the ability to do that in many cases. If you think there is no chance and no hope and almost everybody dies from cancer, then you are going to die from cancer. So it starts in your mind. Again, it's multifactorial, but that is a key component, and you have to have that understanding if you want to fight off that cancer, if you want to be as healthy as you possibly can, because there are people reversing their cancers, there are people taking that natural approach, and there are people getting their health back.
That positive mindset is so important, not just in cancer, fighting cancer, but in anything we do. It applies like, okay, I can lose weight.
Right.
If you say you can do it, then you're going to do it.
Right.
It's just, like you said, a lot of it is. It's a lot in our mind. We have to be able to give ourselves the opportunity to do it, and then everything else will basically fall into place. When we come back from the break, we'll talk more about this. We'll get in a little bit about the toxicity, sugars even. Boy, is that a big component in our society. But again, 5 spots are open for you to get that initial evaluation at Schulte Chiropractic Wellness Center for only $30. Normally $195. Do the math. That's a huge discount, and it's all about educating you on how your body is functioning, and your family as well, or your friends, whoever it might be. But only 5 spots are available today, so make sure you call that number, 402-420-0024. What does it hurt to find out? You just might be a little shocked at what you know about your body and what you don't know about your body. So call that number. We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more right after this. Welcome back to the show. Release the Healing Within with Dr. Stan Schulte of Schulte Chiropractic Wellness Center as we talk about the big C word, our conversation continuing from last week. If you miss a show, don't forget you can get the podcast, KFOR1240.com. But the number you want to remember is 402-420-0024. That's the number to Schulte Chiropractic Wellness Center. 5 appointments open for only $30, normally $195, to find out where is your function, how healthy are you, what are some of the things that you are dealing with that can be corrected if your body is given the opportunity. Cancer, yeah, believe it or not, is on that list. There are different things that you probably don't know about how your body is operating. And if you missed a conversation last week, definitely check that out. But today we're continuing that conversation. Doctor, one of the things you talked about with cancer cells is the toxicity level, and especially that cancer cells, they love sugar.
Yep.
And I don't think there's hardly anything that we eat normally, and I quote normally because American diets are really bad right now.
Right.
That doesn't have some sort of sugar in it.
Right. And I mean, you look at the first meal of the day for so many people. What do we have? We have a bowl of cereal, which
toast,
loaded
oatmeal.
with sugar, sugar, the juices, sugar.
Jelly.
Yeah. And I used to eat that all the time, honestly. That's how I started my day off every day. But once you gain an understanding of this stuff, hopefully it empowers you to, even if it's slowly, make that one step, make that one change, and you can change your entire life. So as far as cancer goes and sugar, there's an interesting quote by Dr. Warburg in 1931. So this was way back in 1931. He was a Nobel Prize winner. He said that cancer, above all other diseases, has countless secondary causes. But even for cancer, there is only one prime cause. Summarized in a few words, the prime cause of cancer is the replacement of the respiration of oxygen in normal body cells by a fermentation of sugar. And we talked about that before, was that those cancer cells thrive on sugar. So when you're drinking that Coke, those 40 grams of sugar there, that's loading that. You're just feeding that. And again, you're taking the health away from those cells that are striving to keep you as healthy as possible. Very, very interesting. And again, that's way back in 1931, yet now in mainstream medicine, there's very little, if any, approach to nutrition. And I want to mention this too, just because this really bothered me, I guess, when I saw this, and I'm not going to call out the medical facility itself here, but there's a facility that was treating cancer patients with medicine, with chemo and radiation. And in one aspect, I understand where they're coming from. And the other one, it really, really disturbs me, is they had a big news run on this about these kids with cancer. They would go through their cancer treatment. And when they were done, they were extremely excited because they now had freezers full of those icy pops.
Oh, yeah.
Icy pops, and they could have as many of them as they want. And again, in one aspect, I understand what they're doing. These kids are going through awful, awful things, and that could be a highlight in their day. But the other part of me says, what are we doing here?
Just sugarifying them up again.
The whole goal is to get rid of this cancer, yet we're just completely being ignorant to the fact that the sugar is what's having a huge effect on the cause of these cancers. So why not give them something else in place of that? But that's why, again, I get out and do these shows and do these presentations in different offices and businesses around the community, because this stuff has to change. And as long as we sit and just take the mainstream approach, yes, they are doing some amazing things, but boy, there are other answers, and there are way better approaches for you and your family. And so, yeah, sugar is very interesting. And just to kind of show you what we do in our office as far as nutrition goes, we have a nutrition plans book that we give to every patient in the office. And we actually have 2 different plans that you can follow, either a core plan or an advanced plan. And this is to starve the cancer cells. We have the information. Let's utilize it. The advanced plan that we have causes hormone repair, weight loss, inflammation, decrease inflammation and disease management. This is where we see patients lose over 100 pounds across the country. And this is where you get your health back. So nutritionally, in that component itself, we have an answer for that. And we're seeing major, major changes. That, along with the other 4 essentials that we have in the office, and getting that nervous system functioning the way it's supposed to, that is where we're seeing lives completely transformed. And
I will say this, I have cooked from that book, and those recipes are awesome.
Yeah, over 100 different recipes.
Yeah, they taste amazing. I always preface, diet is a 4-letter word that should never be used. It's a lifestyle change.
Right.
You're changing your lifestyle. You're not changing your diet. You're changing your lifestyle.
Exactly. And
trust me when I say, you will not find too many bad recipes in that book. But, of course, that number is 402-420-0024. Find out about your nutrition. Are you getting enough exercise? What is your immune system doing? How toxic is your body? You can find out That initial evaluation, only $30, normally $195 for the first 5 people. Dr. Stan, time is up, but again, next week we'll continue our wonderful conversations. We look forward to having you in.
Definitely. Thanks a lot.